Howdy, y'all. A little bit of a big plan today. I got to get the other track frame off the right side on Lefty. After that's off, we want to start seeing if we can get this sprocket off of here, which is a terrifying task and can go wrong. Needs a lot of pressure to get this off of here. So, not something I've been looking forward to, but look how far we are into this. Might as well go to the distance all the way to the goal. And to be honest, at this point, not much to do to get this off of here. I'm going to finish taking this guard off, let this side of the track, let the front wheel down onto the concrete, and roll it out just like I did on the other side. I do need to take the bushings and the bearing cap off of the pivot shaft over there. And here's the other ones off of the left side. And as worried as I was about finding these and the cost, I actually found them really easily. And they are available on eBay for about 10 bucks each. And that one's off of there. What a booger. The really cool thing is that none of these are bent too terrible. Easy does it. Last time worked so well, I'm going to do it the same way again. Kind of self-centers on those. So, lift this up a little bit. Loosen those bolts. I'll get the crane on there to hold it just for a little extra precaution, and then I'll let it down. That ain't good. There we go. We're fine.
Yeah, but it's going to want to tip that way, isn't it?
Pull the block out. Yeah, it balances pretty well, actually.
Does it?
That one did, too. Oh, yeah, look at that.
Oh, nice.
I just need to steer it. Oh, this bearing stayed in here. That one's not as bad. This side's a little better than that side was. Bye-bye. And there's sad little Lefty 4G sitting here on stands all by its lonesome. Doesn't even have any legs left. So the next point of action is to get this sprocket off of here. And I think that's going to be another big fight like we just had. Hey Dad, do you remember when we actually thought that all we needed to do was get that engine unstuck and in the pony and fire it up?
I do remember that, but
yeah,
we just keep going deeper and deeper and deeper.
We're going to get to a point, though, that there's only going to be one way to go.
Yeah.
We're almost to that point. Did get some hard surface MIG wire, and that'll be good for building up some of the hitch components, and I've even thought about building up that worn-out master link if I have to. So on the bearing cap on the other side, these numbers go to the front, and I did notice that this top is way more worn than the bottom was. But again, I got new ones of these. Surprisingly, a lot easier to find than I thought. Alright. Well, that bearing doesn't look terrible. It did have grease in it. Not horrible. Well, there's an oiler in the top and the bottom. You grease it through here. There's a grease zerk on here. So that's what greases this. So all this really does is kind of support that track frame and support the weight of the tractor on here. If we could spin that bushing around, that would be good. Oh, that had a washer and a lock washer on it. Dad was very excited about these. They're kind of a flap disc that fits on a drill that I found.
But they're smaller, so they'll go in smaller diameters.
Clean all these out. So that's what he was getting so excited about over here. Underneath there, there's a lock nut I need to get out. And then I think I can loosen this nut and pull this off. Still trying to figure out how this thing comes off of here, because the book that I have is for a 7U, and it actually only talks about the wider gauge, which have a different outside cap than this one. And it looks like this thing is keyed, and I must have to pull this off or press it off with this nut. So there's a little keeper that was held in by that bolt down in the bottom. And there's a keyway in there. I'm guessing this just slides out of here. I really don't know how to tell. I'm not really sure what these bolts were holding. We've not had a good history with keyways on this tractor, Dad.
You never do with keyways. They're always an issue.
We are at a bit of an impasse here, and we're probably going to make a wrench, some sort of a spanner to help get that nut off. But that thing is super stuck, and we can't get it to budge. While I think about that, I'm going to go over on the welding bench. I had a couple of folks tell me that I can just put a bead around these races, and it'll heat them up and hopefully pop off. So I'm going to give it a try. Being that this is Lefty, this side, these races are really pretty bad. Even the outside, I'm going to take the opportunity to change it. The other side, I'm going to leave the outside alone and just do the inside. Alright, that rusty gunk, it's hard and it didn't weld very good, but let's see if we can get it off. I guess when it cools, they say. Pounded on that with a chisel and a hammer, and it ain't moved yet. It's still a little warm. I'm going to go ahead and weld this one here while I got everything out. See if I have any different luck on the outside race. Dad's grown a little impatient with the welder trick. It'll come off. It's off.
It is?
Yep.
There you go. Yeah, I did get it just a little bit.
Yeah.
That ain't going to hurt anything.
You know, on that side, I might only just need the heat.
Yeah, let's just heat it up. And I won't cut anything.
There it goes. There you go.
There you are.
Upon further inspection, there's a little bit of corrosion in this race, and the outside's good, the bearings are good. We're going to leave the right side. It's fine. We'll just put new bearings and race on the left side. I realized that there's a couple of holes in the side of this hub, and they are threaded, and the 7/16" bolt fits in there. So my thought is to put a puller on here and hook it on these bolts and hopefully get this pulled off of here. Not really a lot of details in any of the books I have for this style of a hub. I get probably a good ½ inch of thread out of it, so we'll be good. I'm guessing that the only reason that these are threaded is to give you something to pull on, but we're going to see if that works. We're kind of ad-libbing from here. We are very confused right now, so I've got a homemade puller rig on here, and I think we're going to try turning the nut on here to see what it'll do. We really don't know. I don't know if we need heat. The book, the parts book, this looks like a tapered shaft, but from my understanding, this should have just came right off, and then the bearing could be pressed out by turning this nut and pushing it off. But for whatever reason, nothing's wanting to move past this point, and Every time we've encountered a keyway on this tractor, it's been trouble. We were kind of looking at the wrong picture, so we were doing it, in theory, the same way as they say in the book. We figured it out. It's another time that we're going to have to make a tool, and the Cat service manual shows a tool that actually slips over here. It's round and has holes in it. These bolts go in it, and then they basically pull it the way that I was going to do it. But we're going to make one similar to it, only I think I'm going to make it so that I can pop it off with a press. We'll put a nut on there so I don't have things fly like I had before. It's interesting to note on this cap, on the outside, I actually sheared off those 2 pins. Hopeful that maybe I can drive them out of there and just make some out of some bolts, tack weld them in there, or probably just drill them out. Our guess is that this got super dry and didn't get grease, and it kind of twisted and broke it off. Over here on the parts book for 4G, you can see what we have. There's that grease fitting, but this is where we're at right now, and Cat has a puller, and from the looks of it, it's got kind of a sleeve that goes around that hub, and those little bolts go into it, into the side, and then they pull it off. So much like what we were doing, it's interesting to note that they have it pulling opposite of the way that we were pulling on those. And when we pulled onto those bolts the way that we had them, it created kind of a fulcrum, and it had a lot of leverage, so it wanted to bend those. So we're looking for a pipe sleeve, and probably on the next time we're out here, we're going to make a tool so that we can get these off of here. Only instead of using this screw type, I think I'll use my porta-power press with a nut on the end of it. Well, in hindsight, I thought that this had maybe moved, and that's what sheared these off. I was able to punch them out a little bit. But reviewing the footage, I never took the keeper off of there. So when I put that big 1-inch impact on here, I did that. Well, we got the nut on it.
Yeah, the nut's on.
It shouldn't blow off in our faces. Yeah, it's coming out. It's bending our thing, it looks like.
Is it? Don't bend it. Shall I heat it?
Yeah, look at it bend those bolts.
Yeah, it's just bending the bolts.
Actually, I don't know if they are.
Yeah, they are. I don't know what's going on.
It's just bending them bolts.
That's where all your slack went, was in the bolts.
Yeah. We've kind of given up on this side for now. We had the full force of the puller on there. It did bend the bolts a little bit, but we can't get it to budge. So, Dad took this side apart. We got our puller over here. We're going to give this side a try. The other side's the rusty side. And we're both at a point of, frustration to where we're not really sure how to go from here. In fact, Dad's over here just cleaning the gearbox. Thinking while we're cleaning. And I had to chase the threads out. That bolt right there, somebody had done this before. Yeah, pressure on it.
According to the book, they don't come off that hard, and it should be a tapered shaft.
Are those bolts bending?
Yep, they sure are.
Maybe we need to reevaluate our puller.
I think so.
It had crossed my mind when we were doing this to just, even though we knew that these bellows were leaking, just put some heavy gear oil in there and run the darn thing and just let it seep a little bit, but man, we were this far. It's hard to leave that little bit of unknown.
Yep.
And it's not going to be that easy to get back into this again. Well, we've tried 2 different pullers on here with no luck. I heated it up last night. Hopefully that it expanded, broke something loose. We are going to make a whole other puller for this. After watching some of Kyle Chris's videos, Dad and I are going this route. And he just turned this one down in the lathe. He's working on another one. I found a piece of pipe that'll fit over this. And ideally, that should work. We're still going to try the power pack, but we're going to make the device so that if the power pack doesn't work, we can still put drill a hole in it and put a threaded puller in there. When it gets frustrating, it's not fun. So Dad's over here working on the other one. And it's coming along pretty good. Hopefully get it to this point soon. It is deceivingly sunny outside, but it is very chilly in here in the shop and even outside. And we are in the process of overbuilding another puller because, well, that guy there just didn't work. As you can see, it bent it egged out the holes in the side. So hopefully this is our next resort, and hopefully this works, or we're going to be at our wit's end. Right now we're setting this up so that we can either put a puller in it, I could weld a nut on there, or we could put our power pack in between there and press with it too. Here we have it, Puller 2.0, and yes, I'm not a welder, but they'll hold. They have so far. And the plan is, with these bolts that Dad turned out on the lathe, to get those in there. They should fit nice and snug. And if these break, if they break off, I think this is right here going to be our weak point. So if they break, our plan is to drill these out and use bigger ones in here. We made this puller big enough that we can use 3/4 bolts. Doing a little bit of last minute adjustment on the workbench for the other bolt. And hopefully this will be good to go. It's got pressure. Yes!
Finally! Finally!
Oh, that was not cool. That was a
That is cool.
Well, it was not cool how long it took to get to this point.
Yeah. Yeah, she's free. It popped back.
Awesome. Let me let the press off. Let's go do the other side. I think with that other puller, it kept bending the bolts enough, and it wouldn't give it enough.
The energy wasn't going where it needed to be.
No. Oh, that might be a problem, Dad.
Push it back on. We'll get it.
There we go.
All right.
Now we got it. Had me worried for a minute.
Nah.
The way things were going. Worked on this, 3 or 4 days?
Yeah. This is the 3rd day that we've played with it.
What the heck did we do?
Well, it's free. We pushed it back on so we could get that nut off.
Yeah.
It'll come off. I gotta work it.
Oh yeah, that's a big boy.
There it is. Here, I'll get it.
I've been worried about what these bearings are going to... Ooh, that don't look terrible. Looks dry.
No, neither does the race.
Oh, yeah, look, there's the bellows. Yeah, I think we're going to be okay with this outer bearing, Dad. I really do. This was worrying me because of the water that was in here, but...
I think it's fine.
Yeah, I do too. I don't see any pitting. I don't see anything loose. So what are you measuring over here, Dad?
I'm measuring how far that this bearing cap is on the axle. See, there's a recess here. So when we go back on, if we get really close, within several thousandths of this number, which is 1.10 or 1.010, we'll know we're there.
Okay. Well,
Yeah.
should we pull this one
it's
out?
that much.
That's not very much.
No.
You ready? Nuts on it, so can't go anywhere. Oh, I got a lot of pressure on it. There she goes.
All right. I like it. It takes some serious pressure.
Yeah, this is a 20-ton press, porta power.
We won.
Yeah.
Finally.
This battle, we got another one.
Yeah. But this was half of it.
I'm a little worried these bellows, you know, it's such a dry climate here, they're probably going to be dried. Oh, look at the oil. Flip it up, flip it up. These bearings look fine.
Yeah, they're great.
How's that race on that one?
I didn't look at it.
This side had oil. It was not great oil.
If this is fine, the race is fine.
Yeah.
They're not even tarnished.
Cool. That's really good.
They had oil in them. It's worth spending the time to make a proper tool. Because after all, nevertheless, it must be done.
So one thing that was very interesting to note is when we turned these out on the lathe, they both were 3/4 inch bolts. And one of those is just a smidge longer. We made it a little bit longer than this one. And that is the one that actually did bend when we put it on the puller. This one survived just fine. And we're speculating that the reason that bent is it was just a little bit longer and it had some more leverage on it. Just enough that it would bend. So this race looks beautiful. This is the left side, the one that had water in it, the one we were worried about. The bellows is a little dry. It looks like they got the cork around here. We can redo this. I've got new ones. I might buy 2 new ones again because I don't want to have to do this again anytime soon. I suppose I better spend some time finishing up my other project, which is just getting in the way of working on the D4, but I got to put plugs and coils in this. I want to thank you for watching. Please do like, share, and subscribe. Be sure to click the notification bell so you can see when new videos are uploaded. And we'll see you on the next one, on the next episode of Sprockets. Yes!
Finally! Finally!
Oh, that was not cool. That was a
That is cool.
Well, it was not cool how long it took to get to this point.
Yeah.